Aloha and welcome to episode 2 of Working in Premiere. In this quick lesson, we're going to learn how to get video off of the camera and into our computer. Now, I'm going to assume that you're working with the cameras that we issue here at the university, but if you're working with your own camera, it'll be more or less the same. So for these, the little Canons, all I need to do is start by taking the SD card out. And then the other thing I'm going to need is my external hard drive. Again, yours will look pretty much like this. For my purposes, I'm actually going to be working on this particular little Samsung one. And I'm just going to hook both of these to the computer. And in each case, I might have to deal with an antivirus warning. Okay, so you can see that this popped up. It's just telling me that something has been connected, and it's asking me if it should do anything about it. I'm going to tell it to take no action. For the SD card, the iMacs actually have a slot on the back just above the USB slots, so I can plug it directly into the computer. Like so. And again, this popped up, so I'm going to hit the no action. So what I need to do before I go any further is I need to copy the video from the SD card onto the hard drive. So I am going to, here's the SD card that just popped up, this little Canon, and here's my Samsung Red, the hard drive that I'm using. Excuse my cluttered desktop, please. So if I just double click each of these, a Finder window will pop up. So there's the SD card, and there's my external hard drive. So this folder on the SD card labeled private, I want to take that entire folder and copy it onto my Samsung drive. But I want to make sure I put it somewhere unique. Every time you do this, every project you shoot is going to have a brand new folder with exactly the same name, and it's going to have video clips inside them with exactly the same name, clip 1, clip 2, clip 3. On a Mac, they hide. There's a little group here called AVCHD. And I can look at those package contents, and there's another one that says BDMV. I can look at those package contents, and finally I get here to where the actual video clips are. Right, so there's a clip, there's a clip, there's a clip, etc. I don't need to do all of that, though. All I need to do is to look for that private folder. If your camera calls it something else, that's fine. What you want is to take the root folder and move that entire folder onto your hard drive. So over here on my Samsung drive, I have a folder called Class Demo, which is where I was going to be working with these exercises. So I am going to go ahead and take that private folder and drag it into the Class Demo folder. So again, I've taken the entire folder, dragged it over, and now I'm going to turn it loose. And this is tiny. Yep, it didn't take a moment. Now I've copied the entire thing over, and that's good. I have all the video here where I'm ready to work with it. Now I'm going to eject the SD card, and I can just click on the eject button right here on the Finder window, or I can come over here to the drive itself on my desktop and do a right click and eject. Either one works. Or I can even drag it into the trash. I'm going to hit eject. Don't forget to unplug the SD card and put it back in the camera. I periodically get cameras that come back without the SD cards, and the SD card turns out to just be sitting in the computer lab. So, okay. Now we're ready to start Adobe Premiere. Now, because I have made a class project, because I made a project in the last video, I can actually start just by double-clicking this class demo. So that's what I'm going to do. And again, Adobe Premiere opens. You may have to sign in. If that happens, the login information is there taped to the front of the computer, or you can use your personal Adobe account if you prefer. It doesn't really matter. All right. So here we are in our empty project. We want to get our video into Adobe Premiere. There are several ways to do this, but let me show you the way that is the most consistently reliable. It's not the easiest, but it tends to work the best. And this is especially important when you're going to have, you're going to have many different projects that are using the same file names. Right, so for your first project, there's going to be a file 0, file 1, file 2. For your second project, there's going to be file 0, file 1, file 2. Sometimes the computer can get confused. So make sure that before you copy everything over, you put a subfolder for each project, right? So make a folder for project 1, then copy the private folder into that. But I'm going to use the media browser. So in the bottom left-hand window here, I can just click the media browser button, media browser tab, and that's going to open up. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger now. If you hit the tilde key, that's the little squiggly key in the top left-hand corner underneath Escape, whatever window is highlighted in blue will fill the whole screen. So I'm going to do that now. So now my media browser tab is filling the entire screen, which is probably bigger than I need it to be. And then if you hit the tilde again, it'll go back to where it was. So I'm going to make it big. Oops, wrong one. There we go. I'm going to make my media browser full screen. So what I'm looking for here is the footage that I just moved. So I'm going to open my Samsung Red drive because I know that's my external drive. All right, and I click on that little triangle and it'll show me the next layer of folders. And I put this in my class demo folder, so I'm going to pop that open and I can see the stuff that's in there. So there's my Premiere project. I don't want that. There's the private folder, and that's actually what I'm interested in right now. I can drill down and look further at it, but I don't need to. All I need to do is select that folder that says private. I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to highlight and click on the word import. And I'm going to get a progress indicator followed by a warning screen. Okay, don't let this scare you. Might want to take a second to look at it, but it's telling me that these file formats are not supported. And there's a whole list of them, but they're all the same thing. They're all something.cpi, then something.bdm.mpl.lst. There's a lot of information on that SD drive besides just video files. And some of it is useful to the camera, and some of it is useful to playback devices, and some of it's not useful to anything at all. So these particular files are types of files that Premiere does not need. I honestly don't know what a CPI file or a BDM file is good for, but the people at Canon thought something might be useful someday, so it's included, but it's not something that Premiere needs. So just click OK and don't worry about that. All right, now I'm going to hit the tilde key to make my screen look more normal. So notice this was an empty window before, but now there's a folder here labeled private. And if I click down on it, there's a subfolder there labeled stream. If I click down on that, hey, look, here are my video clips. If I double click on one of these, you'll see that it pops up in this viewer window. Okay. So these are class exercises from the audio exercise that students shot last week. Now, these little folders are called bins, and /private/stream, this is the structure that came off of the SD card. And maybe I'll leave it there, maybe not, because I really just don't need these two bins. So what I can do is I can select these, and notice I can click and drag to group select, and then I'm just going to pull them to the left. So you'll see they're no longer under the stream folder. The stream folder is now empty. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to press the delete key on my keyboard, and it's going to go away. And because I pull them all the way to the left, they're not even under the private bin anymore. You notice as I open and close that, nothing's changed. So I can click that and hit delete as well. So there we go. There are my 5 video files that I've imported. And if I double click on these, I can see that I have a variety of things to work with. All right. Our next lesson, we're going to start looking at the fundamentals of editing.